You've known them months, you know, maybe years, a few years. They're getting to know you. They're learning you.
That's so true.
Give them time, but you've got to help them along the way.
Yeah. Would you say, like, when you and Rob were dating, did you have those kind of like boundaries put in place, like, or like, did you have that kind of like, this is what I would expect from you, and like, this is what I'd expect from you before you got married?
Yeah, we did an incredible course before we got married, a pre-marriage course that really dug deeper on the things that we hadn't maybe considered, or the things that we'd taken for granted, and it went from very deep to the more shallow things as well. And it was simple things like, when we get married, how often do we expect to have sex? How often do we expect to go to church? How often who will do what roles in the household? To what's the 10-year plan? How many children would you like to have? What kind of upbringing did you have, and would you want to implement that in raising your own children? I mean, there was so much that we covered. It was incredible.
Yeah.
However, at that stage, we were so loved up and idealistic. It was like, that bit doesn't apply to us. Until it did. It really did. So we had that in our pocket, but flesh got in the way. You know, when we first got married, it was awful. The first 2 years of our marriage was dreadful. And by God's grace, we're still together, you know, because I walk towards the front door on a daily basis. The only thing stopping me from walking out was knowing that I'd have to come back. And where was I going to go? Because the man I married was not chasing me out of that door. He's very much like, I didn't send you anywhere. And it's in this book. This one is my story.
Plus one equals 3.
Chapter 8 of this book will show you the madness of the drama that I was creating, because I wanted the focus and attention of my husband, and I was going about it all the wrong way. And I was slamming doors and walking out and walking back in and shouting and slamming the door again, and he was reading the newspaper.
I just love, but you know what, even that image in my head just makes me laugh, because automatically I'd be like, you should run after her, but then actually no. Because it had to happen exactly how it happened. Because running after me would enable my behaviour. So every time I want some attention, I'd slam doors and shout. And do you know what I mean? And he's like, I didn't know. He said to me, when you stop behaving like a child and come and sit down and we can talk properly, then we can get somewhere. All this, not responding to that. Wow. So you knew straight away he was not about to chase you. After that, did you stop trying after a little while? Or you kept trying to go to...
I was embarrassed. I was in pieces. I flung myself on I'm in drama. Threw myself on the bed, sobbing louder than I ever would, just so he could hear me down the corridor. And then I heard him coming down the corridor, and he went into the second bedroom, which is where we kept all of our clothes, and it was like a dressing room. I thought, this man's not trying to leave me. I'm thinking he's packing a case. But he was getting his shoes on. He was going to the shop. Then he came in the room and said, do you want anything?
Wow, you was crying? Because you were just being dramatic? Fair.
And he went to the shop. And I said, no, with attitude. He's like, clearly you're still in your I'll leave you there. And he left me there till morning.
Fair. Okay. But I quite like that, because do you know what? Honestly, in my head, I would have been like, he'll be like dramatically running after you.
No, that's
like,
what I thought.
In the movies, because that's what you see in the movies, right?
Yes.
You see like, okay, like now you're in this marriage. It's not a joke. It's not like you're just in a relationship. This guy's not just your boyfriend. She's just not your girlfriend. You know, it's actually serious. You've gone from kind of like seeing each other at church, courting, to now living together. And it's so different. You're seeing two personalities coming together. And I'm very much like, I do like my own space sometimes, maybe a bit too much. So I also think to myself, like, if you are that kind of person that maybe when you're dating, is that again something that maybe you should discuss, maybe you should talk about, like your communication styles, or does it just come naturally? Basically
nothing comes naturally. Everything is worth discussing. Everything is worth informing the other person of your desires, your preferences, your fears, all of that. All of that is essential. But what you're discovering is that there's bits of you that you don't know about yourself yet, because you've not maybe been married before. So you're discovering new ways about yourself, and you may discover in marriage just how much you appreciate your own space. And now you're not having it. And I'm like that, and I'm still like that. And if necessary, I go to the bathroom, shut the door. I'll take a book, up my phone, whatever. Just everybody, please leave me alone, you know. But it can work, but because you're not in each other's pockets. You're married, but you don't have to be joint at the hip. So there's times when Rob will be downstairs watching a game and I'm upstairs reading a book.
Yeah, I love that.
Or I'm going for a walk and he's not. And sometimes I'll say, do you want to go for a walk with me? And he'll say yes. Sometimes he'll say no. Even when we holiday differently.
Yeah.
So every year we go away for our wedding anniversary. And in the earlier days, we would stay, it was like staycations. We'd stay in the UK because the kids were young. We needed to be able to get back to them if there was anything. But my husband is a relaxer. He likes everything about relaxation, sleep, massage, spa, the whole lot. I can't bear it. I'm more action, discovery, movement, all of that. I don't sleep a lot. I don't need a lot of sleep. He likes to sleep late. I like to get up early. I'm a morning person. He's not. All of that. So there's a lot of opposites with us. So in the early days, there was a lot of frustration when we'd holiday together because I'd be getting angry. I'd be furious at him. I'd be watching him sleep, willing him to get up and getting more and more angry with every breath that he took. And then by the time he got up feeling well rested, he's now getting up to rage. Because this is our anniversary weekend. Sometimes as I said, when the kids were young, we'd have one night away in a hotel and you're sleeping all the way through it. Like,
you want to be doing something.
Do something. Yeah. And I wanted to go out of the hotel and explore new things. Now, unfortunately, we got married in December. So a staycation in December is getting dark early, it's cold, it's potentially wet. So it's not the best way. So we used to go to really, really nice hotels to really feel special and, that kind of thing. We'd spend a bit of money, and you're sleeping all the way through it.
You kind of wanted to do more than that.
So then I think about 7 years in, we decided, actually, let's book somewhere that has what you want and what I want. And we'll go off and do what we want to do. Yeah. And then we'll meet up again later in the day or for dinner. And we've both had a great time. And it worked beautifully. And it was amazing. And some people think, well, that's a bit odd. You're on your wedding anniversary weekend and you're doing separate things. And I think for the sanctity of your marriage,
you need to.
Let me go for a walk. Let me go for a wander. Let me shop a little bit. Let me browse the area. Let me see what the city looks like. And he can sleep, have a massage, eat, sleep again, all of that, and he's well rested. We're both happy.
And you come back together in the evening and then you have more to talk about, like, this is what happened today. And that's another thing that really was that I was like, oh, when I was listening to you guys speak once and you were saying, because in my head, when you got married, you were together forever, you're side by side, like you never leave each other's side, like that's how I viewed marriage. So I was like, like I like my own space. But when you said that you can, like, for example, go on a staycation, but do two separate things and then come together again in the evening and talk about, this is what happened in my day. I was like, this could really work for me, this marriage thing. So it was really nice to read the book and listen to you speak about it when we've done the course. That you can, it's okay to do that. You don't have to be like together forever in this. And that was kind of maybe a little bit of an unhealthy mentality that I've kind of, God has had to kind of like slowly break out.
You don't have to be doing everything together, I mean, Rob and I, we have a lot of interaction. We talk all throughout the day, we're messaging throughout the day, and teamwork is probably our strength, but we're not physically together all the time. No, he's the first person I want to call when anything happens, but I don't have to be with him all the time. No, not at all.
And it's nice to see, like, in our church, so many great examples of like kingdom marriages, which is something that I never thought about. I just thought you get married, whatever happens. And so it's nice to see those examples.
Do you see enough examples, do you think?
Do you know what? I've seen a few good from seeing like basic practically zero to, I won't say practically zero, but I won't say practically, let me not say zero, but seeing very few to seeing like, oh, that's what like kingdom marriage is about, when like God puts you on an assignment within your marriage. I was like, oh, so that's what happens when you're in a relationships and God puts you in an assignment. Like, so for me, it's been nice to see a few more examples than I would have seen. Like even for example, like in church, like when I've seen like couples like holding hands and praying together, I'm like, oh, you're allowed to hold hands and pray together in church. Like literally, it's just opened my eyes to like so many, like, or even in prayer meetings when like, couples are praying with each other. I'm like, oh, this like exists. And you know, like for example, you guys do a lot of like singles, married and engagement ministry. So like even for example, your marriage day that's coming up, I'm like, oh you can hang out as couples and do team building.
And that one we're really focusing on making it a fun event. So we'll do a bit of teaching because people are paying money to learn something. So we'll do the teaching, and then we'll have like a barbecue outdoor lunch, and then we're going to be doing some games, not just the physical stuff either. I'm mindful that people have all sort of abilities and ages and that kind of thing, but we'll do some sort of mental challenges and physical that kind of thing. Just get couples working together, and just making it fun. You know, I think if your marriage isn't fun, then it's a real hard slog. It's really hard to be married for 50 years and not enjoy it.
That's what
and marriage shouldn't feel like a punishment or a sentence, you know. So it's important. Rob and I got to a point where we got very stale, very, very stale and overly comfortable. Like using the bathroom at the same time. I'd be in the shower, he'd be on the toilet, brushing his teeth, and we're like, babe, I think we need to review this.
That's another
certain things I just don't need to know.
Do you know what? That's another thing that I actually asked my sister this. I was like, oh, you know, when you get married, you have to do that, because both my older sisters are married. And I'm like, oh, do you have to like? Because what if you just like, I just fancy a bath or a shower by myself? My sister was literally like, you can choose whatever works for you guys, and like she said, some things you're not going to know until, of course, you're actually married, living together. But you can decide whatever works for you.
That's it.
And that's the thing that is kind of like, it's been a game changer. And even in your one of your other books, which I think you've wrote with Rob, the Singleness to Marriage Journal.
This I just happen to have them here.
This
one.
This is so good. This is like therapy it's so like you can just write and you can just
it's what I like to call a guided journal. So it's plenty of room for you to write down, but there's lots of questions in there that take you from childhood right through to current day. So literally asking you the questions and getting you to think a bit deeper about, again, who you are. But I think what you're saying is, what your sister said is great advice, and hold on to that for your marriage. And for every person who's married, your marriage needs to look like you, not like anybody else. It needs to reflect who you are, and it's a journey that you do together, and you work on it together, and you make it work for you. When I first got married, I was cooking, I was cleaning, my home was like a show home. My husband said to me, I love this, babe, this is great, but can you just sit on the sofa next to me? And can we just watch a movie like we used to when we were dating? I was like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I could do that. Now, my husband is the one that does most of the washing, most of the cooking in the house. He enjoys it. And to this day, I still go to him and say, are you actually enjoying this? He's got music playing, he's stirring the pot, he's doing all in the kitchen. And I'm just like, it's my worst nightmare. I do it because I have to. But he does it because he loves to. So why not do it more? It just makes sense. And then there's other things that I'll happily do, and I get on with it. And so it doesn't have to be equal. It doesn't have to be, well, I hoovered yesterday, so you hoovered today. Whatever works for you.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's why it's important to kind of like have that conversation stage as much as you can. And then you work it out as you go. You know? And you might make some mistakes and then review. How did that work for you? Would you prefer, do you know what I mean? And then you work it out together and then review again. Actually, it's a bit much for me. I thought I'd love this, but I don't. Can we look at it again? Work it through. Like you would with anything. Do you know what I mean? There's an issue, face it together, work it through, resolve it. I make it sound easy, but do you know what I mean? We spend too long on highlighting what's not working, when actually what you could do is say, oh, let's look at this together and let's review it and try it a different way. But it doesn't, your home, your marriage, your parenting does not have to look like anybody else's. It's unique to you. You're two individual people. So the combination of the two of you is never going to look like the same combination as someone else's. That's so true. Like, honestly, I was that person where I was like, oh, like once you get married, that means you have to cook, you have to clean, while he goes and does that. And that might work for one couple, but it might not necessarily work for the other. So even if I love that Rob loves to cook, and you still have that beautiful respect for each other. It doesn't mean that, oh, you're cooking, you're doing this, or I'm cooking. You just have a very mutual respect, which I love. And I think that's important as well, to know as much as you can in the dating stages to talk about those things, and to say, this is what I love to do. And like you said, you might have to review it. But doing things like the Singleness to Marriage journal, you can just write down, you know, some of the things. It's like literally just therapy, kind of like you and God just spending that time.
It is,
you know, after like I after, you know, praying and seeking God, because that comes first. This is like such a great like addition, add-on. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's good because, I mean, Rob once said, maybe what people could do is literally fill it out, do it as a single person, fill out the answers, and then hand it to the person that you're dating. I said, babe, don't ever recommend that, because it's terrifying. You know, because this is a level of nakedness. This is where you get out and pour out the stuff that's sitting inside that could well be preventing you from progressing in the area of dating, because you don't realize the things that you saw growing up. Like for me, I was determined that I was going to be divorced because it's what I saw. And I'm carrying that. How can you be going into a relationship knowing you're going to divorce the person? It's never going to work. And so that had to be unraveled, picked, the onion layers had to be peeled away, and I had to come out renewed. You know the scripture says about, you know, we're being renewed day by day.
Absolutely.
And so that needs to happen. And for a lot of people, they don't realize, when I do my coaching sessions, one-to-one coaching sessions, and I dig and I dig and I dig, and then that moment, that light bulb moment comes where they realize, this is where this came from. This is where it started. This is why I feel this way. This is where the fear was rooted, you know. And that's why I did this journal, is to, on your own, you can then begin to answer the questions. That's all you need to do. Answer the questions truthfully and honestly, and then you'll see the point starting to come forward. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize this. I didn't realize it was that episode, or that incident, or that thing that happened, or that thing that didn't happen. You know, it's not always a negative. I remember one lady contacted me. She listened to the podcast that I did about daddy issues. And most of us have negative issues with our dads, which causes a barrier for dating, because there's fear and there's all sorts of things. She said her issue, which I mentioned in the podcast, which what caused her to reach out to me, was that she had such an incredible dad that no man could ever match up to him.
Oh wow, that's like
right. So it's harder to find someone, because the benchmark is so high, you know, because her dad, who's still in her life, is just the way he treated her, but also the way he treated her mum. No man has ever been able to match up to that. So it can also, it's not always an outright negative thing. It can be that you've had it so good that you can't find that for yourself, you know.
And you know, also as well, it's so good, it's so true what you said about the light bulb moment, because sometimes I'll just be writing things and then just like God reveals things to like something, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know I did that, or I didn't know that's what's connected to that. And I know even for myself, you know, what I would have wanted maybe, let's say 5, even 10 years ago is absolutely not what I want today. And now I know, like, being saved, that I want that man of God. However, again, hearing you speak, I realized that even saying man of God is so, like, when you said you got to, when you say man of God, like, do you want a man that's in his prayer closet and you don't see each other? And I'm like, no, we're gonna have to, you know. And then I was like, do you know what? It's true, and it's also putting, I think, so much pressure. I suppose my question is, do we put too much pressure on our lists? Like, he has to be a man of God. He has to stay praying. But at the same time, if he's staying praying, is he going to have time to actually go out on dates with you? If he's staying fasting, so do you think we put too much pressure on the list? Do you think we need to kind of...
Not that you put too much pressure, you want it on the first date. That's the problem. You want to see it instantly. You want it to already be ready-made package that you see on the first day, and like, right, green light, we can go in. And that's the danger, because the man my husband is now is not the man he was when I met him.
Wow. Yeah.
You know,
so
we've
true.
developed that together. He's developed that in his walk with God. And he absolutely is a man after God's own heart, you know, and that's always been there. That's what I saw. But the outworking of that, the exterior, the actions were not. I wouldn't, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have chosen him.
Wow.
If it was up to him, he wouldn't have chosen me. But we saw our spirit connected, and God showed me that he was my husband, but he wasn't the finished product, and he never will be. It's a journey we're going on together. But the danger is people are looking for that on the first date, and they're dismissing perfectly illegible men who have just got some refining to do, just as we have. We're not the finished article. And so there's a lot of dismissiveness that's happening, especially online. Online has become like a source of entertainment. You're going on these online platforms, you know, these online dating platforms, and people are literally just scrolling. They're looking at a still photograph of someone, quite often not a very good one, but they're looking at still photographs and dismissing the person outright. Now, if that person was in front of you, you'd give them more time. And more often than not, what we fall for is the little quirky things. The way that someone, you know, the right side of their mouth twists a little bit as they speak, or the way that their eyes look, or the way their eyes move, or their hands when they're speaking. Can't see any of that in a still photo that's been staged. That's the danger of online. But I think we're too quick to dismiss perfectly legible people who have the potential to be everything you want in the perfect match, but we're saying no straight away.
But do you think, if, for example, there is someone who has done the work, they've maybe come through therapy, and they're a bit more advanced in their faith, it, like, how do I word it, like, in the sense that, like, is it worth it? I don't know if that's the right way, but I'm going to word it this way anyway. Is it worth, because that sounds so bad to say it like that, but like, is it, if someone is a little bit more further in their faith, and someone's like baby faith, right, and they still got some things that they need to figure out, I suppose my question is, do they still date, or is it a case of, like, maybe someone's a bit further on, they don't really want to have to wait for you to catch up, basically? Does that make sense? By
saying that, I'm taking that you're saying that you're further ahead in your walk with God. You're more mature in the Lord, and he's not so much. One thing I will say is, don't be too quick to jump into dating. Befriend the person. Give them time to develop, to be shaped, you know, by God. Secondly, too many people are marrying their season.
Oh, wow.
Not their lifetime. You've got people in your life for a reason. Someone you might meet once, they'll drop a seed, they'll drop a sentence, they'll whatever, guide you in some way. They leave something with you. Never meant to meet them again. Just that one time, off you go. Then you've got those that are seasoned people. They're in your life for a season of your life. That might be school, that might be uni, that might be a job, that might be a relationship. But too many people marry their seasoned person.
Wow.
It's not your lifetime person. They were meant to be in your life. They had a purpose to play, but they weren't meant to be your husband or wife. But you married them.
Wow.
And now you're struggling. So we're jumping in too quickly. If that person is in your life, play it out. Let's see how that goes. If they're meant to go, let them go. If they're yours, they're yours. No matter what. They're yours. And so don't be quick to marry that person or jump into a relationship with the person. If they're not where you think they could be in the Lord, let them get there. Be friends. Be friends.
Wow.
Because the fear of losing someone, the fear that you might lose her to another guy, means you're operating in fear. And that's not the good basis of a relationship. If she's yours, she's yours. If you connect spiritually, she's yours. You don't have to date her immediately.
But I think also that is true, and I think there's also that fear of, for some people, when you get to a certain point, I think for especially women of God, I can't speak for men because I haven't had many sort of like conversations with men of God, But for women of God, I think when you've done that work and you've come to a certain place, you are almost hesitant of even dating because you're like, it has to absolutely be the right person this time. So how do you kind of let go and let God if you do find yourself in that place of, you know, you've given that person some time and maybe they have caught up a little bit and they're in a better place spiritually? What are some steps that for women who have waited for so long and, you know, now that it's becoming a potential to date and, you know, see what God has for you, how do you kind of let go and let God in that case then?
So if with that one particular person?
Yeah. Let's say if someone you've waited for them, they've like caught up a little bit in terms of spiritually, they're, you know, more sort of like connected to God. However, you know that you have done the work, so you ain't trying to get it wrong. Again, I know obviously you're saying wait and to keep waiting, but if it's like, okay, now it's in a better place for both of you, but you still feel like I'm really trying to not get this wrong this time, and you've already made that, you've waited, they've caught up. What are some steps in kind of like sort of letting go and letting God?
Befriend. You know, don't operate in fear. Because remember, by saying we can go for a coffee, or we can go for this event or whatever, you're not signing your marriage certificate.
That's true.
Go hang out. But if you feel unsettled about the person, you don't feel the way you'd like them to be, or that kind of thing, then pause. Pause or walk away, walk backwards. Do you know what I mean? There is nothing that's committing you at that stage. So the fear of just speaking to someone or spending time with someone, you can say at any point, right up until the day you say, I do, I'm not sure. I don't think this is working, or I need some time. Don't worry about, we've spent all this money. The amount of people that have gone ahead with marriages where they knew on the day, at the altar even, this isn't right.
Something wasn't okay.
Something's not right here. And they've felt that all along and they've gone ahead anyway and then ended up divorced because they knew it wasn't right. You know, and every couple that we counsel, my husband and I, or even me individually, and I'll say, when did you begin to see this behavior that's now causing you to reach out for help? When we were dating. Every time. It's never a surprise like that out of the blue. They saw signs of it, but of course they didn't realize the magnitude. But they didn't pause. They didn't go backwards. You know, they didn't stop to consider, stop to pray, stop to consult with the Holy Spirit. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. And one of the things we always say is Dr. Miles Monroe said in his books, there is no magic wand at the altar. And we add to that. There is a magnifying glass though. So whatever is an issue in your dating, when you marry, it will be magnified. Because when you're dating, you can come away. You can say, I don't feel great today. I'm not going to see you today. Sorry, I haven't got time to call you today. Oh, I'm busy. Do you know what I mean? When you're married, you're in this now. It's 24/7. So all of the issues and things that were a bit of a niggle for you are now screaming at you. It gets magnified. So if you're seeing something in the dating stage, and the dating stage is different for everybody. Some people are dating with every intention of getting married. Some people are dating because it's a bit of fun. Some people are dating because they want sex. Some people are dating because they don't want to be lonely, but they want to be able to pick you up when they want to and drop you when they're not feeling it. You know, and so they need a companion for a day, or a companion for a friend's wedding, or there's so many different reasons why people date. So your understanding of dating may not be the same as theirs. You've got two people. If two people are dating and you're looking for a husband, someone to commit to and spend the rest of your life with, and he's looking for someone who he can conquer and get sex from, it's not going to work. But then you're jumping in quickly, not identifying, hang on, what is this person really about? And that can happen fairly quickly, as in that working out who the person is can happen fairly quickly. For others, it takes years. You know, depending on where you're at. But I would say, look at you first. Work on you first. You know, why are your reactions the way that they are? Why do those things irritate you so much? Why do you fear this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
Work on that stuff.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
that you can get that out of the way, because there'll be enough to work on together when you align yourself with someone.
Yeah.
You know?
And I love that idea of like, you can just go for a coffee. It doesn't mean you're signing nothing.
No.
Like, yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
And the thing is, like you say, even if you have to get more firm, never be mean, but if you have to be firm and say, look, this is how I speak to salespeople on the call. The ones that I happen to pick up, because it doesn't actually say spam, and they say, "Do you have 5 minutes to talk?" And I'll say, "Is this optional?" And they'll say, "Yeah."
I
and
like
I'll say,
that.
"Okay, so I'm choosing not to. Thank you." Oh, but you said it was optional.
Yeah.
So I'm choosing not to. Thank you.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to use that line.
So I'm not being rude. I'm not being mean, but I'm being firm. Mm-hmm. And there's nowhere for them to go with that. You can't force me to take your survey or to continue to speak. It's the same with dating. If you say to the person, "Thank you, lovely, but not for me." Well, why can't we? Thank you, but not for me. Why? You can't force me. I'm choosing to not proceed with this.
Yeah.
And they may get annoyed. They may get, "Hey."
What if it's within the same church? Because obviously that can be awkward as well. And I think that's where you want to sometimes be cautious.
Yeah.
Is when you're dating within your church.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Speak a little more of that.
Yes. So, when you're in the same space, when you're in any space, whether it's the workplace, church, anywhere that you're regularly in the space with the person, do not jump into one-to-one coffee straight away. There's no need, because you can observe them over the weeks and the months, the days, whatever. You can observe them and decide for yourself whether actually this person is intriguing enough, or there's a connection enough for me to want to spend more time with them. You don't have to do one-to-one straight away. So you could save yourself some time, some money, some heartache by observing first, then speak to them in that space, speak to them again in that space, speak to them in a group setting. You know, sign up to the external events that the church might be running that they may well be at, you know, and that kind of thing. Don't jump in. There's no need, because if you go in too quickly, like you say, and you discover almost immediately, actually not for me, it's going to feel more awkward.
Or you're stuck. There's the other side where you're stuck. You're like, oh, I don't really know how to exit this situation.
Exactly. And you don't want to be mean. So I would say you can learn so much from someone without speaking to them. Just the way somebody, you know, for example, he always comes in late for the service, so you already know that about him.
Right.
He doesn't seem to engage with the worship. It's like he just wants to hear the word. He's just there to get the word, which is maybe why he's late. Will that bother you?
Absolutely, it
will. So why are you going for coffee with the man? Do you know what I mean? He may be able to learn a different way, but you can already see certain things about him that would be a problem for you. Who does he engage with after the service? Does he engage at all? Does he hang around for a coffee? Is he serving in any particular area? Does he go to any of the other events? Is he ticking a box by coming to church on Sunday? Right, all my sins of the week are wiped clean now. Off I go and start them all over again. Or does he only turn up once a month? And there's no judgment in any of that. Everybody's walk is their walk.
Right.
But if it would be a problem for you, you can already see it from before you've ever engaged with them.
That's so true. Yeah, that's true.
So don't be quick, especially when you're around people, the people are around you. Don't be quick to go one-to-one. Take your time.
I think but I almost feel like sometimes I take too much time. Like, and I don't know if that's a problem because, well, it's obviously,
is it a problem for you? Do you feel like it's a problem?
I feel like I'm irritating myself at this point now.
Then it's a problem
because I'm like, okay, now I'm doing too much because I'm so cautious. I feel like I'm overly cautious.
Why? Without blatantly interviewing you, why are you so cautious? What's the worst that could happen?
I don't know. I don't know, and that's the thing. I think I don't know what it is, and that's why I'm always like asking God to just let me be a bit more open to the person, you know, because I am like so not observant. I don't know if you've ever seen the meme of the person that comes to church, they literally I'm so thankful, okay, it's nice to see everyone, then I leave. But like there was a pastor who was saying you walk so fast out of church, you don't actually mingle, like, and not sometimes it's not necessarily you're not mingling for your person, it's more just like just getting to know people. And for the first 6 months of church, I was doing it. I was coming to church and I was coming to church and going.
Yeah.
And then eventually I was like, God was like, okay, join the kids ministry. And I was like, oh, why the kids? I didn't really get why God said the kids, why join the kids ministry. And it's been such a blessing.
Yeah.
But I was not looking, and people would be like, oh, there must be some nice young men in your church. I'm like, I don't actually know, because I don't check for them at all. So like I think I've been quite cautious, to like maybe too much. So I'm trying to let myself be a bit more wild, but also because the thing is as well, because I'm so much at the point of where I'm focusing on God, and like God is mine, like, you know, like you were saying, like when you, before you started dating, and then you know, and like, oh, I'm just loving, just, you know, getting to know God, and we're just, you know, just me and God, and you know, God's giving me a big hug, and we're you know, so it's kind of like, that's where I'm at. So for me, I'm just like, what do you want? If you do talk, if someone talks to me, I'm like, why? What do you want? So I'm trying to learn.
And you're not alone in that. There's a lot of women who are very cautious and suspicious.
Yes, very suspicious.
However, you speak to them, would you like to? Yes, I want to get married. So how are you thinking this is going to happen if no one talks to you? Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. And that's why I say work on yourself first. Work on your social skills. Work on your communication skills. Work on any form of social anxiety. I've heard people say that there's a guy that they like in the church. If they see the guy coming towards it, they duck out into the toilet and hide in the cubicle.
I'm literally that person. I'm like, no.
Why? This is the thing. And they actually like the guy, and he's coming towards you. I mean, that's every woman's dream. And then you run. And what you're saying to the guy is, I don't want to talk to you. Every time he sees you, you disappear. The message is, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
So that opportunity is over.
But how do you, like, what do you do to, like, do you smile, or do you, like, because I'm that person, I will run in the, if I, like, I can talk to guys, that's not a problem, but if I actually like you, I'm going in the opposite direction.
Why is that? Why? Because so many people say the same thing. If they like someone, they're terrified, but if they have no attraction to the person, they can speak normally. Yeah.
I don't know why. At least I'm learning to let go and let God. So that's why I just want you to give us some practical tips of how can we allow ourselves to really start the dating process for real, if we're actually serious about, you know, kingdom relationships, kingdom marriage. What kind of like are some practical tips that we can take? So
the first thing is, if you feel confident about who you are, even how you look, then you're more likely to present better. When you're comfortable in your own skin, you're more likely to present better. If you have stuff that you're hiding because you feel ashamed, or you feel that if somebody knew that about you, they'd run a mile, or, you know, for any reason like that, that's the inner stuff. That's, you know, the first point was the external stuff. This is the inner stuff, that if someone talks to you long enough, they're going to go beyond the surface, and they're going to discover something about you that they may not like, and they'll run a mile. Get that dealt with. That's therapy. That's coaching. That's speak therapy. Amazing. Those are the two main things to get dealt with. Then God's timing is another one. God's timing is always perfect. It's not when you want it to happen, but it's always on time. His timing is never wrong. So that means that whatever God has got for you in the timeline of your life, your individual personal life, means that if point 1 is birth, you know, point 6 is education, for example, and point 12 is employment, and point 24 is marriage, get those things done. And if God along the way is saying, Jenna, I want you to launch a podcast, and you say, I will, but I'm waiting for my husband to come along so that I get the financial support and the encouragement, and we can discuss ideas together. Well, God's saying, no, husband is 24, podcast is number 20. So until you do that, you're going to be waiting.
It's so true.
Now, most people, even as I'm saying this, will know there's always something that God has been saying to someone about something that just needs to get done, and they're not doing it. And I was the same. Mine was reconcile with your dad. My dad, who abandoned me at 13, reconcile with your dad. No. Why? I don't need him. He abandoned me. Why do I need him in my life? Reconcile with your dad. No. Why should I? He should come to me. He's the adult. He's my parent. Why should I go to him? Reconcile with your dad. No. Why should I be the one that goes to him? Because, you know, and I had all the reasons until daily I'm hearing, reconcile with your dad, reconcile with your dad. And eventually I surrendered because I just couldn't get past it. Everything was on standstill. Everything was on pause. Everything seemed to be going wrong.
Yeah.
And eventually I surrendered and I did it and I reconciled with my dad. And the whole story is in this book.
Plus one equals three.
Yeah. I surrendered and I went to see him. And when I left his home, after 17 years of not seeing my dad, when I left his home for the first and only time, I heard God's audible voice say, I now release you into your marriage. Could have happened years before. But until I did that bit, God's not going to, because God can't take me into marriage with the attitude I had towards men because of the abandonment from my dad. I wouldn't have been able to love Rob the way he deserved to be loved. I wouldn't give myself to him. I would never tell him that I love him because that's power over me. That's how I identified it.
Yeah.
So until I had done that task, I couldn't be a wife to the husband that God was providing for me.
Yeah.
And it's the same with most people. It's like when you think about the Israelites, when God got them, Moses led them out of Egypt and they were camping, moving around. They griped and they moaned to the point where they said, we might as well have stayed there. In that awful situation.
Yes, yeah.
This is where so many people, especially Christian women, are living.
Yes.
They're living in that place where they hate it. It's awful. It's painful. It's traumatic. But they're staying there. Rather than deal with what God is telling them to do so that they can get that dealt with and move into the next season of their lives. And unfortunately, they're staying there so long, their eggs have depleted. They've passed the point of wanting to be married and have children now.
Yeah.
Because they're just not moving when God is saying, move, go, forgive. Oh, that's a whole other subject.
Yeah, forgiveness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that can be your stagnancy as well.
Yeah.
Is not forgiving. And you know, that's another, like, this is why I'm so thankful that you're on the podcast today, because you just constantly drop gems. That's like, God has given you so many gifts, and honestly, I'm so thankful for you. It's
absolutely God.
Even when you said again, like, you know, on the Rooted for Relationships course, when you said your marriage might be at 24 but you're still at 2 wanting to get to 24, but there's steps. If your marriage is at step 24 and you haven't got past step 2, God might be saying heal at step 2, forgive at step 2. There's something blocking it there that you're not doing. And the longer you leave it, it's just you staying in that place for longer.
And it will only hurt you, and it will also hurt the godly man that you're praying for. Doesn't deserve to get somebody who's so traumatized, so broken, so hurt, so fearful. He doesn't deserve that. He deserves someone who is in wholeness. So until you've done the work that God is giving, and sometimes it's not even about the brokenness and stuff that's happening with us, it's the mission. You won't do it when you're married. So if God is saying, I want you to go on mission and do this and build wells for clean water for the, you know, tribe in that country, get on with it. Get on with it, because once you've fulfilled the call, the mission, the purpose for that season, now you can move to the next one, because you can't do what God is asking you to do with a baby on your back.
Yes, it's so true. It's different. It's just going to be different times of life. That's so true.
Get on with it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, I tell the story, I don't think it's a true story. I think it's maybe more of a kind of analogy, but the story of the man who God was sending on mission, and he accepted it was a long-term mission. He was selling up, leaving the country, everything long-term. And he said, yes, I will go, but I want my wife to go with me. I want a wife so we can do this together. And he held out and he held out and he held out, and his life was not moving forward. And then he said, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to go now, because so much time has passed. And the boat that he traveled on, the woman that greeted the travelers off the boat was his wife.
Wow, you see.
And this is the thing, whether it's a true story or not, I can't remember. I heard it so long ago and I don't remember where I heard it from. But it's a true reflection of where so many of us are at. We're on pause. We're holding off. And God is saying, come on, move so that I can give you the next thing. I can move you to the next point on your individual list of life. And we wait and we pause and we're fearful of that thing. For me, reconciling with my dad was, I wasn't ready to forgive him. I wasn't ready to let go of the bitterness that had become a shield around me, that was protecting me from any man ever hurting me again. But I'm trying to go into marriage like that. I'm going to destroy Rob. And Rob, he's praying for a wife too. And he doesn't want brokenness. He wants wholeness.
Absolutely.
So, and that's the thing. So many people, especially women, are there. They're in their feelings. Men tend to move quicker. They move on quicker. If you see a divorced couple, more than likely the man will remarry quickly. The woman, she's got to go on mission to Bali. She's got to soak herself in seawater. She's got to eat certain foods. All of this stuff to recover and heal. And all of this, years and years and years, because the emotion of what's happened is so much bigger for women. But it means that we're on pause. We're on pause. We're camping in the desert. That 11-day journey took 40 years. We don't have 40 years. 40 years you'll be in menopause. Do you know what I mean? And then you're angry at God because you didn't get to have children, or you're angry because you didn't get to marry when your body was still how. Do you know what I mean? But actually God was saying, move. 11 days. But you said no, 40 years.
You kind of have to go through that uncomfortableness to come out on the other side. And I think sometimes as well, I realize that when you have that uncomfortableness, you almost want the easy way out and just be like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. But when you actually break through and come out on the other side, you see why God was doing what he was doing. And that's why I'm so thankful for those times when God was like, no, we're not moving until you do this thing.
That's it. And because when you do the thing, you're now building the testimony. And the word talks about the power of our testimony. All the glory has to be God's. Every time, all the time, all day long. Glory to God, glory to God, glory to God. And so if we're not building the testimony, if we're sitting still in the tent in the desert, nothing happening, there is no testimony. How do you go to somebody who needs Jesus in their life and say to them, well, God, he hasn't really done anything for me and I've not really got much to tell you, but I think you should follow Jesus anyway. Compared to, let me tell you my story of how God turned things around for me. Right? So whilst we're supposed to be building the story, the testimony, obviously when we're in the test, it doesn't feel like a testimony. It feels tough. It feels hard. But that test is all part of the testimony. And as you come through, God will use it. And your journey, whatever's gone on with you, whatever you've had happen in your life, you will one day be able to walk someone else through it.
That's so true.
You will be able to speak the words of comfort. You'll be able to give the examples. You'll be able to hold their hand, mentor them, give them a roof over their head, whatever it may be, because you get it. You understand it. So when we're busy in our flesh saying, why me? Why am I the one that's had to go through this? It's because, first of all, the Bible says he will never give you more than you can bear. It also says he does not sleep. He does not slumber. He never takes his eyes off you. So all the worst thing you can imagine you've been through, God was there, but he's given you that to carry because that's your journey and your testimony, and you will walk someone else through it, whether it's from a stage, whether it's one-to-one, whether it's your sister-in-law, somehow you're going to work with someone through that. And that's why God wants to take us through and check off that he wants you to work through that list too. But we're the ones that camp in the desert. We stay there even though we don't, and we gripe and we moan, and we don't even enjoy the manna, but we'll eat the manna. Rather than get to the promised land, that's milk and honey and grapes as big as your head. Do you know what I mean? We're sitting eating these dry flakes.
It's so true.
Do you see what I mean? And this is how, as people, we then moan at God, why didn't you do it for me? It's not fair.
It's so true. How would you say are some practical steps for someone who's been patiently waiting? And sometimes you do get weary. You're just kind of like, it would be nice. Like sometimes you can go months on end. Like you're cool, don't even think about it. what are like some practical steps that someone can take? Like, so for example, I knew for me, one of my triggers was, just for now, I'm not going to watch certain shows. I just don't think certain shows work for me. And sometimes it can be very innocent shows, nothing, you know, untoward, but it just for me. So like, what for someone who's been like patiently waiting and is still patiently waiting, seeking God, what are some other steps they can take to kind of just wait while they wait on their husband, their purpose partner, their life partner?
Can I be raw?
Yeah.
Stop patiently waiting.
Okay.
Get moving.
Oh, okay.
Stop waiting.
That's different.
Move.
Yeah.
Move.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that is, move towards the goal. And that might mean fulfilling the mission that God has given you, that he's been whispering in your ear for the last 5 years. Get on with it. Like this, like you're doing, get on with it. Get active. Where you will be seen is when you're in service. And I don't mean the Sunday service. Yeah. And it might be the Sunday service. Yeah. But when you're actively doing what you're called to do.
Yeah.
When you're actively serving, that's where you get seen. That's where you stand out. Waiting, who's going to see you there?
Okay, so you don't feel like, or you should sit there and just almost like take it out of your head for a bit, or
unless it's the man that's come to fix your boiler, no one is seeing you waiting on the sofa, and you probably don't look great there either.
Oh, I don't know.
Right? So stop waiting.
Yeah.
Move.
Yeah.
Go. Take action. Be active. Yeah, whatever. And I'm not saying be active and go out and start to, you know, put yourself out there and carry a placard saying single, wanting to marry, anyone available. I'm saying get busy doing the things that God is calling you to do, whether that's business, whether that's career, whether it's, you know, helping, serving someone else, you know, supporting your neighbor, whatever. Just get moving. Yeah, because it's the same category as prayer. Faith without works is dead. You know, you can pray and pray and pray and pray and pray. Now move. Yeah. Move. And this is why, again, going back to the story in the Bible of the desert, this is why there was a cloud by day and fire by night. When I move. When I stop, camp there.
Yes, gems. Oh, I love it. Yes.
Camp there. But once I move, you better get your stuff together. Yeah. Because I'll leave you. Because I'm on the move. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Get moving. Yeah. Stop waiting. Yeah. Because when that scripture, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. How will he find you? Yeah. You've got to be there to be found. Yeah. And I pray that when he finds you, he'll be happy with what he found. Because I'd rather find a pound than a penny. Yeah, definitely. Which is of more value. Yeah. Yeah. Make yourself valuable. Get yourself ready. Prepare yourself, all aspects, inside and out, so that when he finds you, he's found a good thing, not a dirty old penny. Yeah. That he would happily toss away again. Yeah. You know, how many people have got penny jars in their house? They don't do anything with it because it takes so long to accumulate to any kind of value. But you find a pound, you find £5, £50. Okay, you're excited about that. Yeah. So get moving. Yeah. Be found. Be ready to be found.
Wow. I never saw it like that. Yeah.
Stop all this waiting. Only the Amazon man is going to see you.
Yeah. We don't know. And we don't want the Amazon man.
You don't want the Amazon man.
No. Sometimes it's a bit creepy. No okay. But, okay. So I have some questions, from, you know, Christian women who are in different stages. And so I just basically wanted to ask you a few questions. Okay, so I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions from some amazing women of God who are seeking like relationship and especially seeking marriage. How do you dress for your future spouse? Because obviously as women of God, we want to look nice, but we obviously want to be different from the world. So how do you dress for your future spouse?
I think be yourself, you know, express yourself in the way that you dress. However, be mindful that when a man is looking for a wife, he's looking for someone that he can put in front of anybody, from his grandmother to his mother to his work colleagues to his friends to anyone. Yeah. But the Bible talks about your body belongs to your husband and your husband's body belongs to you. Yeah. And what it means by that, it's not necessarily a sense of belonging. It's a sense of, or ownership. Yeah. It's more about God has given us, husband and wife, to each other for his purposes, to glorify his kingdom And that's the major difference between marriage in the world and marriage in the kingdom. And we can talk a bit more about that if you want to. But it also means that he is a gracious God that also allows us to enjoy each other's bodies. Yeah. And so the sexual act and being able to procreate and all of those things is the bonus that God has given us. Yeah. And so allowing everybody else to have access to your body, because there's so much cleavage on show, or there's so much thigh on show, or the skirt is so short, means that you're putting your private belongings out there for everyone. Yeah. And I promise you that you putting everything on show does not earn you a husband. It will earn you someone who wants to gratify their sexual desire, but not much more. Yeah. Because when you become that show pony, what happens if that changes? Do you then become of no value? Because that has been you feel that's been your identity with what man wouldn't want me if they can see all of this. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So where does your value go when that's not there? So I would say be fashionable, but allow the modesty of what's underneath that to belong to your husband and for yourself. Yeah. So, but I'm not that person who feels that you have to be covered from neck to toe and all that kind of thing. I just think that if it makes you question whether this is okay, if you wouldn't wear it to church, then just don't wear it, you know. And that includes, you know, when you're on holiday. I mean, I've been in situations before I was a Christian, where I went on holiday and I was sunbathing topless, and I suddenly heard someone say, "Sonia," and as I looked up, it was a guy that was at my college. Wow. And I was so embarrassed, and I could never look at him again, the way, like, you know, face to face. And I just thought, oh my goodness, he's seen parts of me that he had no right to see. You know. But I wasn't in the Lord then, of course, and I, you know, now I think back on it, I laugh. But I think actually what is underneath this is for me and my husband and no one else, you know. And to be honest, the kind of people that want to see it are not the kind of people you want to marry. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you. And what is the difference between a kingdom marriage and a marriage? Huge difference. They can look similar, and we make them look similar. The major difference is when the Bible talks about two become one, means that when the two of you come together, it's for God's glory. It's for movement in the kingdom. So the way that God will use you, the way that God will equip you, the skill sets he will give you, the spiritual gifts that he gives you are to be used to glorify his kingdom, to increase his kingdom, to serve in the kingdom. What we do is we take our eyes off that, we take God out of the center, and we begin to function like people in the world. And so we see marriage as companionship, sex on tap, having children, cheaper taxes, all of those kinds of things, when actually, when you really, this is where Rob and I had to take an about turn, when we realized what God showed us, it's not about you. This is not about you. This is about my kingdom and how I want to use you. And what God was creating in us was two people who came from brokenness, broken homes, divorced homes, never been in relationships that lasted very long individually. And he was getting us ready to run the marriage and relationship ministry in our church. We didn't know that. And we had no idea how to, never seen it, never seen marriage. But like most of the characters in the Bible, we were coming from brokenness, but God was able to use us. He was getting us ready for that. We didn't know that. But when we were busy arguing and just living in a constant state of conflict, we were not building the kingdom. We needed to go through it, because most people that come to us now are in conflict. So we can identify, from what I was saying before, we can identify where they're at because we've been there. We do not have the perfect marriage. We argue all the time. I get irritated by Rob all the time. There are times when I question, not did I get this right, but there are moments where I think, if I wasn't married and if I wasn't a mum, what would this look? I'd have the freedom, or I'd have more money, or I'd have do you know what I mean? That those little moments where I think that, and then I check myself and I hold on, wait, don't go down that road. That's a scary road. And so there's so many opportunities for us to glorify God in what we do. But I see how together, when we deliver rooted together, I think, wow, God, that's only God could have done that. Because who are we? You know?
Absolutely.
So that's the major difference, is that our marriages, the unity of our marriages, is to glorify the kingdom of God and to move it forward.
Yes, absolutely.
And to be used by God as vessels.
Yeah.
God needs us individually, as couples, you know, as the hands and feet, as the mouthpieces on this earth. He needs us to go and deliver the message. He needs us to go and feed our neighbor. He needs us to be able to take people to where they need to go. He's got to use us as his vessels, his soldiers on earth. And so that's the difference. And when there's two, the Bible says where two or more are gathered, I am there in the midst of them. So when you've got a husband and wife in a household glorifying God, he's in the midst of them. He will use them powerfully.
Yes, absolutely. That's beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much. And just two more questions. How do you handle when the wait is over after so long? So now you've been, waiting, and now it's over and you started to date. Yay. And it's full steam ahead.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
You go with that flow. Go with that flow. Again, be yourself. There is no act, because you won't be able to maintain it. There's no way that you have to act or have to behave, because very quickly that will die off and they'll see a whole other person. Be who you are. Be ready for refinement. Be ready for change. Be ready to pivot. All of those things. But be you, do you. Don't go along with anything because it's just, I better, because otherwise he won't choose me. No. No. That's false advertising. Do you know what I mean? And you don't want the covers to come off. Do you know what I mean? And think, oh my gosh, what have I done? Be who you are from the offset. You know, being mindful that you're now in a season where you're having to accommodate somebody else. But there isn't a way to act. Do you? Very American, sense. But do you?
I love that. I think that's perfect.
Be who you are.
I think that's actually really good advice. Thank you. And how do you handle if you are meant to be like Paul in the Bible and you're just meant to be single? Because for some people, they kind of like, you go on for so long expecting or thinking, okay, one day you're going to get married. But what if your sort of like purpose is to be like Paul in the Bible and be single? How do you handle that? That
is really a reality for so many people, that thought. I think we all go through that thought. We go through the thought of, did I already meet him and I missed it? Is it someone I dated before? Is it someone I knew? We all go through that when we're waiting and it's not happening when we want it to. Our minds they start searching. Our mind starts to try and make sense of what's in front of us. But I would say to you that a very, 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 very minute percentage of people are called to be single. It's an actual calling. And if you have that calling, you won't have a desire for marriage. It's not because you've given up on it that you now think, maybe I'm meant to be like Paul. Do you know what I mean?
That makes sense.
It won't suddenly be like, oh, maybe I'm just meant to be single and that's my calling. If that was your calling, you won't have a desire for marriage in the first place. You'll be more resistant. When people are trying to put it on you, you're like, that's not what I want though. And I've met people like that. Very few. But I've met people who do not desire marriage.
And they're very content.
Very resistant to it, not interested in it. They believe that the call on their life is not conducive to marriage. It's not. But very, very few people are like that. Most people will even question that or declare that because out of frustration because it's not happening for them. I wouldn't say that that's their call. You'd know if that was your call. It's actually a gift. It's a spiritual gift.
Because I even when I did a course at church, that was it was a women's course, and you delivered the spiritual gifts that
Flourish.
Flourish.
Yeah.
And then you were saying that one of the gifts is for some people is celibacy. And I was like, I didn't know that was a gift. I was like, I don't want that to be like, I mean, when I'm married, but
it's a spiritual gift.
So I was like, I didn't even know that was a gift.
Even people use the word wrong. They say, I'm being celibate. You're not. You're abstaining. For a season until you're married. Then you will have sex. That's abstinence. But people use the word celibacy, and it's fine. It's but celibacy is a calling. It's a calling. It's like martyrdom. It's like some people, it's a call on your life where you don't have that desire for the desire you have or I have to be married, to be a mom, and all those kind of things. Far from it. And Paul did not have that desire. And so and this is the problem, where people read the words of Paul where he says, I would prefer that you would be like me, because he didn't have the call. And as far as he's concerned, what greater thing could there be to remain single and focus 100% of my time and focus on God and enlarging his kingdom and declaring the goodness of God and doing his letters and writings and things like that. Imagine if he's trying to write and his wife is in his ear, you haven't cleaned the staircase. Or, do you know what I mean?
So true.
That was not his call. Which is why he was an advocate for that. Because when anything we're doing, and if we're enjoying it, we recommend it, right? To other people. We say, oh, you should try this. It's great. And you're thinking, it's awful. Like you do Sunday school with the kids. I could think of nothing worse. For me. It's not what I'm called to.
Yeah, that's true. We all have, and that's one thing I've learned as well. We all have different gifts, and that's okay.
But put me in a room with a couple or an individual who is struggling in relationships or marriage, I will sit with you for hours and hours and do it all again next week. Repeatedly. Where my own pastor has said, how do you do it? Do you know what I mean? And I don't know how I do it. It's the gift I've been given. And so I love it when you're walking in and operating in your calling. You can't understand why other people do what they do because that's not your gift.
That's so
true. Your gift is your gift, and you love it. And you'll do it over and over and over and over again without being paid often, right? So, and that's why that whole Paul mentality, it can be dangerous if people go down that road where that isn't your calling. You're just resorting to that because you're thinking maybe that's my call because this is not happening for me.
And you can meet somebody at any stage of life. Can, like, some people you was meant to in your 20s, and some people maybe you was meant to in your 50s, or for some people it might be after divorce or losing someone, they then start to date again later on in life. So and that's okay. So so I really appreciate you so much. Thank you for sitting down on the podcast today and answering all of my questions.
It's been amazing. I'm
definitely going to put all of your socials on the podcast. But is there anything that you want to kind of let us know? Anything that you want to say before?
Yeah, I think normally what happens is obviously the books will be listed on the thing, so they'll be available, and there are a variety of different things. So these are the easy, let me pick it up, let me read it, I can sort of self-educate. I constantly, if you follow me on socials, I always advertise what I'm doing, and I do a mixture of single events, pre-marriage events, married events, that kind of thing, the whole spectrum. And also I do coaching one-to-one. So if that's something where you feel I need to just sit with someone one-to-one, as well as the group events as well. I love group events because people learn from each other.
Absolutely.
I love group events. But all of that will always be on my socials. So anything like that, I'll be posting.
We'll be following you. We'll be following you. And do you know what? That's what I love, that from your books to like your coaching to the courses you deliver, it's for every stage of relationship, because God created relationships. Like he is the first and the ultimate example of love. And when we take hold of it and we say, okay, this is how to walk through these stages, I think that's important. So very thankful for these books. The only one I currently haven't got is the His and Hers journal. But when I'm married,
this one,
by God's good grace, we're going to pick this one up.
This one is for couples.
I bought this I actually bought this for my sister and her husband. So you can gift it, even if it's not your season.
Gift it,
absolutely.
I mean, you do need to be very intentional with it, because sometimes people pick it up and it's like, but it's very much the thing. My husband and I have done it, where if you're praying for something in particular and you're focusing on that thing, great idea is to set aside 30 days to pray. And if you want to fast as well, pray on that thing, focus in on that thing, and pray together, because where two or more are gathered, God is in the midst of them, right? So the answer to that prayer is more likely having focused on it for 30 days together. You'll see the results, and you'll see what God does along the way as well, along the journey. But do need to be intentional. And the thing is with this is it requires him and her to write down their thoughts, their feelings, their fears, and all of that. And as I said, you know, guys aren't always too keen to do that part, but it's fine. Even if it's just a word that you want to focus on for that day, great, that's enough.
I love that. Thank you so much. We're so grateful for you.
I'm so happy to have done this.
I'm so thankful that you came on the podcast. Thank you so much. And guys, like I said, I will put everything from the books to Sonia's social media at the bottom of the page. So thank you, guys, for tuning in for another episode of the But God podcast.